Good evening, everyone. So recently, I looked at a few continuous integration or continuous deployment solutions for work because we are not using any at the moment. And so I had a few names in my head, and I did a quick Google search and started to look around. And where I work, we have a few constraints. So we don't have a spare physical machine. It's a really small team, early startup, so we can't afford yet to have even a spare machine. Small team, so we don't want to have someone to have to babysit a config, so we're looking for something easy, and we are looking for something cheap. And the criteria I've been looking for this trial is the ability to try a solution for free for maybe like a couple of weeks or for a smaller scale. If it's easy to configure, I don't want to have to bang my head against an obscure file format or something like that. And our code is hosted on GitHub, so it has to be compatible with GitHub. That wasn't hard. The short list of what I reviewed is Circle CI, Travis CI, GitLab CI, and Bitrise, and Microsoft Azure Pipeline, or something like that. I don't know exactly the name of the solution. Honorable mentions, so things that didn't make the cut for some reason: BuildKite, GoCD, Bamboo CI, or CodeShip. BuildKite because it requires agents. And as I said, we're looking at something that's fully hosted. GoCD because it requires Java. And also it requires your own runners. But I thought that was funny to use that emoji. Bamboo CI, it's something that, so Bamboo CI, they have several offers. And the one I was looking at, you download a piece of software that you install. It has nothing to do with them. So it's not even like BuildKite, for example, where your runners connect to like some central master organizer or whatever. It's something, from what I understand, something you download, and still it's limited to 10 jobs. So like you're fully running it on your own. You pay for a piece of software. It's a one-time fee, so that's good. It's only $10, and the proceeds are donated to charity. But there's some limits in this software that you run on your own machine. So that was a bit weird. Or maybe I didn't understand. And CodeShip has no support for iOS, so there's no macOS runners. So in no particular order, let's start with Circle CI, the CI that has a logo that resembles a lot like some iteration of Uber. So Circle CI, the lowest plan is $39 US dollars. So all the prices are in US dollars. You're limited at 5 builds a day, which sounds very low, but if you have a really small team and you're only pushing from time to time, that could work. I don't know if that would be a problem so far. And you have 500 minutes of build per month, and I have no idea if that's a lot or if that's very little. It sounds very little to me, but I don't know. So my approach with all those services that I tried is I have like a few open source, very small projects on GitHub, like pet projects, and one of them was really simple, I thought, has very little dependencies and very basic Xcode setup, so I'm going to try and plug it and see how long it takes me between the moment I sign up and the moment I can have a green build. And with Circle CI, so I sign up and it walks you through a YAML config that's pretty simple. Like there's very little you put by default, so I guess there's a lot of good defaults. So simple config. It provides a template for iOS. It detects, I think, that it's an iOS project and provides the appropriate template that's just a one-size-fits-all. And it connects to GitHub and Bitbucket. So like, I was happy with that. It was the first one I tried early in the evening last night. And not so early in the evening, actually. And So I plug it in, and 10 minutes in, I'm already pushing the YAML file on my project. And that's all fine and dandy. And as I'm trying to run, it says, oh, you need to have a macOS runner, and you don't have in your plan. So I go and try and change the plan. And even though the website says there's a free trial, there's no way for me to proceed without putting my credit card detail. And that made me really angry, because I don't want to have to deal with, like, if they charge me and they give my money back later, I don't want to have to deal with that. And so what I did is on my bank account, I moved all but $10, because I thought maybe, there was a Stripe logo, so I thought Stripe maybe handles that. It just pings you for like $1 to check that you have, like, your credit card is valid or whatever. So I left only $10 on my credit card, and even with that, it wouldn't go through. So I don't know if it would have blocked the full amount, and I don't know if I pay annually or monthly, so I was like, I didn't want to risk it. So like, I bail here. And I can't delete my account. I couldn't find anywhere to delete my account, and I hate when services online, you can't easily delete your account. So first try, Circle CI, I'm sorry, disqualified. So I'm trying to make this review a bit easy, and so you have like one thing to remember if it was good or not according to me and my criteria. So let's assume that it's an app that you just downloaded on the App Store, so there's an app review, and it's a 1 star. Contrial without giving my credit card details? No, thank you. So yeah, 1 star for Circle CI, sorry. Travis CI. Travis CI, so there's travis-ci.org and travis-ci.com. One is for open source, I think, and one is for commercial or enterprise. The cheapest plan is $69 a month, and you have one concurrent build at a time. There's no other limitations that I could see, so you can just build like one job, but there's no limits in how many times a day or how many minutes a month or whatever, apparently. What's good is that it's a fine-grained GitHub integration. It doesn't just ask for your GitHub and that's it, because the previous one and the others just ask for your GitHub and they have access to all your repos and that's it. This one asks for your GitHub access and then asks for which repo, and for this repo what you want to do with it. I don't remember exactly, but it was fine-grained. It was like, maybe if it was like V2 of the GitHub integration, they've implemented it, whereas everyone stayed at the V1. It seemed like that. Obviously, just after Circle CI, I was really happy that on their website they said no credit card required and no credit card required, so I could build. It has CocoaPod integration, but I didn't need it because the only dependency I have on my simple pet project is Carthage, and it was pretty easy to run a few commands to have brew install Carthage and then run Carthage. So the review for Travis is pretty good. The UI is a bit basic, but you can see that it's been built by people who want things to work. It may not look pretty sometimes in some corners, and it may be a bit difficult to find a setting, but it feels like you can pretty much script and put options into anything. So it gives you confidence that you won't be blocked by something one day, like you want to do something a bit crazy and it won't let you because there's not this option. So that's the feeling I had with Travis CI. Then is GitLab. So GitLab, what's a bit annoying is you need to host your code on GitLab. There is a few, like if you have an open source project, which my test project is open source, but I was reviewing this for work. So I think the thing that is free for open source, you need to actually download and run it on your own runner. And the free tier, but anyway, I was confused. And apparently you need to run your own runner. And maybe I didn't read well the website, so maybe it would have been in the honorable mentions if I had read the website better. But it seems like it's a good integrated tool that provides more than just CI. You have communication, you have ticketing, you have it's Trello, it's GitHub, it's a CI system, and it's much more. It's really good because there's a large feature set. It's continuously contributed to, and you have new features every month, apparently. I haven't tested, but that's what they claim, and I've reviewed GitLab like a couple years ago, and it has changed a lot. Like there's constantly new features, and it seemed like very robust, maybe not designed specifically for mobile, more maybe for like web development, so maybe you'd be a bit the odd one out if you try and run like a macOS runner or something like this. I don't know. But it seems powerful and it seems pretty good, but not adapted. So it's only 2-star review, sorry. And it looks like it's been built by and for developers, so they know what they want and it's something powerful. So next was one that I didn't know about and I had missed in my Google search, but it was mentioned on Slack the other day. So I tried Bitrise. And what's good with Bitrise, okay, so you can plug a GitHub repo, you can log in with a GitHub account, Bitbucket account, or GitLab account. It still requires you to create your Bitrise account. I don't know why, just so you have your own password, so whatever. And you can add an arbitrary Git repo. So it doesn't have to be GitHub or Bitbucket or GitLab. You can add any repo. So if you have the address of the repo, you just plug it in and it works. Obviously, no credit card. That's good. It detects automatically the project setup, but not only like what CircleCI did, and I don't think Travis CI detects anything, maybe just the language or the fact that it's Xcode. This one actually reads your repo, look into it, and prepares the config YAML file with the Carthage. It detects that you have Carthage and it put like a line into your YAML file saying Carthage update or Bootstrap or whatever the default safe option is. It detects that there's no CocoaPods in my project, for example. Like it's kind of well integrated. Like it understands much more than just the top level. And it has like the web UI for Bitrise is kind of a GUI for configuring your pipelines and your YAML file. And it's pretty good. Like some people don't like GUIs, they want to like just dive into the code. And obviously you can see the YAML that it generates and you can change that if you want by hand, that's fine. You can download it and probably commit it into the repo. I haven't tried that, but I would assume it works. So it's pretty good. Like it detects in depth the characteristic of your project and generates a YAML file, and you can edit it and move things around like drag and drop, or you can edit the YAML online. And each step of a pipeline is kind of a mini program or mini script, and each one of those mini scripts, well, maybe not mini actually, big scripts, I don't know. Haven't looked at them. They are a separate GitHub repo and it's open source, and they are versioned. So it means, like for example, the execute a random script, it's execute a random script v141, for example. And if they realize that there's better support for something, I guess they would update that repo. So your pipeline is versioned. Each step of your pipeline is versioned, and it's almost overwhelming. Like there's quite a few options, but it also gives a confidence that you can choose a version of a pipeline element. For example, if you know something worked with the Xcode plugin in your pipeline or the Carthage plugin in your pipeline, it worked with version 141 with your esoteric setup, then you can log to that, or you can always update to the the highest plugin. It also connects to your Apple developer account. I haven't tried that. I don't know if it's a good point or a bad point. I don't know if it would mess with your signing certificates and stuff like that, provision profile and stuff. But in a way now it's like all of these things have been around for a long time, so I would trust them. I don't know. I would trust them to say, yeah, do that. So you can download all the certificates, and I think it also says it provisions your devices, your test devices for deployment as well. So it sounds promising, and you can delete your account. So it means that if I don't choose Bitrise, I'll probably be able to delete my account from them, which is good. So they get 4 stars. And you always have to have a snarky remark in an App Store review, right? So yeah, the web UI looks a bit laggy, so I'm sorry, I have to say it. Next, something also that I didn't think of, maybe because the first word is Microsoft, but it was suggested by Baz, and I had to be thorough and review it. So I think it's called Microsoft Azure DevOps, but we all know it's probably actually called Microsoft Azure Pipelines DevOps Solution Standard Edition 2018. I don't know. And literally, I could not find the actual name of the thing. So let's call it Azure DevOps. It works with your code on GitHub. It analyzes your repo, and it suggests your Xcode template with a config YAML file. It lets you edit and commit the YAML file directly from the web UI. I put like a mind-blown emoji because it seems basic and obvious, but none of the other things that I reviewed do that. They all tell you please copy this YAML file, paste it into a file, and commit it and push it. When they have access to your repo. So I don't, maybe they don't have push access, they just have read access, but I think they would have push access, I don't know. But I was like, yeah, of course, that makes sense. You edit the YAML file, it says, do you want to push this YAML file to your repo? And it's like, yeah, sure, do it. It knows about CocoaPods, it knows about, I think the VM, the virtual image of macOS has Carthage installed, the latest version as of yesterday, so it was pretty good. And really, like, the code of conduct of CocoaHeads say we should not discriminate on platform. So I'm like, the only thing that I really hated about this was the really confusing UI, Microsoft style. Like, you have 7 menus that are almost the same name. And it's like, you have sign up, your account, profile, settings, all next to each other. Like, which one is which? And you have like the entire top of the screen with menus and sub-menus and sub-menus. And like at first line in on the account, like you create a new account, you have your onboarding thing, you create your first pipeline, that's good. And then I run it and it failed because I forgot to put Carthage or whatever, or I didn't know how to put it. So I thought, oh, maybe I'll figure it out. And it crashed, it didn't build, it failed. So I want to edit the pipeline. Where is my pipeline? It's in the small cog thing where you say edit, and then it brings, like, it took me literally 10 minutes to find how to edit my pipeline, and it was 11 p.m. and I didn't want to wake up my housemates, but I was really ready to bang on my desk because it was really making me angry. So it was a really confusing UI. So that's why I put it. But apart from that, it's pretty good. So it has a 3-star review, but it made me angry, and that's not good. And also get a bit of snark, like, could I use it every day? But after all, if you're on GitHub, you're also running on a Microsoft platform, so I guess. If you want the recap, that's it. No words, no characters, just icons and stars. That's the most succinct I could do. And that's it. That's me. If you want on Twitter and GitHub, I am Jean-Étienne. That's it. I haven't picked because this presentation is before. This actually is my report to the CTO of the company. So, hi Mika. And we'll make a choice soon. I personally really liked Bitrise. It felt like it was made for maybe mobile dev, or at least like modern dev. Whereas all the other ones are a bit too generic. Like Travis CI is really good. I feel like it's like robust, focused, it's just a CI, not trying to do too much, and still you have plenty of options. And Bitrise felt really good. And I think in terms of pricing, Bitrise is really cheap. I think it's 15. I haven't put the price down. Yeah, I think Bitrise is pretty cheap for what it is. And the other ones, I haven't even looked at the price of the Microsoft solution actually. Maybe it's cheap, I don't know. I liked, like, I wanted to try those and really have a feel in 10 or 15 minutes. It actually took me like more than half an hour per service to try. But the one that had the most fun, and at some point I was like, oh, I'll spend like 45 minutes on this one, was Bitrise. Because you could play around, like, and you push things, you build again. And from the moment you sign up to the moment you have your first green build, I didn't have to push anything on my repo. I didn't have to fiddle with anything boring or annoying. It built, and that's what I want at this stage. So for my criteria, that's what seems to be good.
So we'll go for questions, and I'll
go ahead.
So you were building apps, export apps.
Yeah, iOS apps.
Right. Do you have I have 2 questions. Do you have indicative build times? And since Go has an advertised multi-threading feature that is an order of magnitude like 100 times better than other threading technologies, do you have an indicative build time on that Go-related technology for larger build projects?
What do you mean? How the build time compares on all those CI services?
Yeah.
So my project has a lot of heavy dependencies, and on this machine it builds in 2 minutes, 2 minutes and a half. But that's because, but I didn't, you know what? I don't know actually. Because the only thing I built was my pet project, and I didn't build like the project from work, which would be a better sample, because my pet project, there's like 2 files, and there's one Carthage dependency. And on all those things, the Carthage dependency, I didn't want to set up caching So every time it runs, it reinstalls Carthage on some of them, and sometimes it rechecks the entire thing even though Carthage hasn't updated, the dependency hasn't updated. So it was like a quick and lazy setup just to see if it's green and it passes. But if I were using any of those services, I would probably do a bit more, a smarter setup where it caches a few things up because I don't need to rebuild my dependency every time. It didn't seem that anything was overly slow, but that's just my feeling.
The go threading model is pretty much irrelevant for Bitrise because it's just running other tools sequentially, so it's completely irrelevant. The last app that I built had an Android app and an iOS app, and the Android one took about twice as long on Bitrise as it did for iOS. So it'd be like 20 minutes for a full build with UI tests on Android, and it'd be like 10 minutes for iOS.
And you can configure the number of CPUs your Bitrise uses.
On the main speed, you get one concurrent agent, that's it. So you can't configure anything.
Pardon?
Considering the limited amount of resources and money and the minimal amount of people you seem to have, why have a CI/CD system in the first place? Can't you just go along for like a few weeks or months without a CI/CD system? Could you just skip the whole thing entirely?
Yeah, we could, and that's what they've been doing until I joined. And it's only 2 iOS developers at the moment, and when we do release, it's one of us building and shipping to the App Store. So it works. It's just that we would like to have a bit more, how to say, be a bit more safe on the build side that we can push something. And at least when you're pushing a PR, see that it runs the tests and that the little tests we have are actually green and that there's no merge conflict or there's not even a build problem because that could happen, like even like human error. And so if on the cheap we can avoid human errors, why not? If none of this is cheap enough or none of this is convenient enough, we'll probably continue until we have more funding or until something really screws up. But I think there's probably a solution that's good enough in one of those.
I'll ask a question. Can we see a use in anger scenario in a couple of months? Results?
Do you want to see how I am when I'm angry?
No, just hoping we'll see you execute and see some final results and see how it went in the end rather than just the research. It'd just be nice to see a follow-up presentation maybe. Just hope.
Let us know what you do.
Yeah, I'll tell you whatever I use in the end, and if it makes me angry. But when I was angry yesterday, it was 11 p.m. So I was considering. I was like, that's pretty much what it was.
I know it probably sounds like a crazy idea, but did you consider, for example, setting up an Xcode bots server on one of the developers' machines?
I did not think about Xcode bots.
One of the product manager's machines, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, like, instead of mining Bitcoin or something, just set up a server bot.
That's a good idea. But it still requires to have a machine dedicated, not dedicated, but a machine for that's up.
Yeah.
And we are a remote company. So I'm here. Some of them are in Berlin, some of them are in Sweden, some of them are in the US. So it would probably be a nightmare to say, hey, can you open your lid, please? At like 2 in the morning, because I want to build, I want to try something. Can you just open the lid? Yeah. So, yeah.
And you hadn't thought of like a $200 Mac Mini from eBay?
Yeah, that could be a solution. But again, you need to have someone actually set it up, plug it in, and you need to have developers spend a couple of hours setting it up and babysitting it from time to time, upgrading OS 10 and checking if something's wrong, which in the short or medium term is actually could be more expensive than just paying like $15 a month. So I don't know. the analysis hasn't been pushed farther than what you've seen tonight.
So, what's with the remote building? Are there any local build solutions available at all?
Some of the solutions, the ones that I've put in the honorable mention, they require you to install, not this one. Some of those, you have like a central kind of master, and you have workers. The workers is a piece of software that you install on a machine, and you have like a Mac Mini or a spare Mac that you have in the office. And so you can have local builds. But I disqualified those because that's out of my criteria for this research.
Bitrise, I think it uses Fastlane to run its own YAML files as built on your own as well. It's
Okay.
if that helps.
What sort of build output do you get? Like, what's the does it send you an email with how the run results went and things like unit tests?
Most of those, yeah, you can, in the YAML file, you can say where your test output is stored. So it looks for an XML test output, for example. So you can put it on the page. You can compare like previous builds if the test is like more green this way or like this way. You can probably, most of them, you can say if you want to be notified of successful builds, failed builds, both, which email, all that kind of stuff. Most of the time, that's a classic setup. Is you get notified if something goes wrong and or if something goes right.
It could be a gate on your PR as well.
Say again.
It could be a gate on your PR. So
It could be like who pushes the PR, gets the green build email, and if it's red, someone else or everyone else, or the other way around.
You can actually have it so that you can't actually merge your PR until your build's been passed.
Oh yeah. Yeah, with GitHub integration, yeah, you can have checks on the PR. Yeah.
That's what it's Slack integration too.
Yeah, let's put more things into Slack. All good? Thanks everyone.
Thank you, Jay.